What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 again. We've got a lot of information. Recently, Game Informer, they put Ultimate Alliance 3 on the cover for this month, and they were actually able to go to Nintendo and play Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and they've got a lot of interesting details about the game. And now the information I'm about to give you, I am basically quoting from what IGN and Gonintendo put out, just going over a summary of everything, and then we're going to talk about the trailer that was released with that at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the links down in the comments, or I'm going to put the links down actually in the description of the articles, in case you want to go read those articles for yourself. But let's go ahead and jump right in. So right off the bat, Marvel provided writing talent and character selection for Nintendo and Team Ninja to put into this game. That way, to keep everything as close to authentic as possible. Now, they've said that it's not exactly, doesn't follow the comics or the movie. It's basically right in between. So it's not going to be a copy and paste of what we just saw with Marvel Endgame or Infinity Wars, but it is going to follow the Blackwater and Thanos and the Infinity Saga in a sense. And they gave us the starting point for the game, and so basically you're going to start with the Guardians on the Milano, which we've seen a lot in the trailers, so you kind of could have figured that already anyways. But you're starting there, and what happens is Rocket detects a Kree warship, and it just happens to be Ronin and the Black Order. And after a scuffle, these stones are somehow scattered across the universe, and it is a race to find them. Now, they said after this, the whole game kind of opens up and it becomes kind of chaotic. Now, they can take it in a bunch of different ways because it is scattered across the universe, essentially. So, what is going to happen is from there, you go to Earth and you're on the raft during a prison break. We've seen a lot of this as well with Spider-Man, things of that nature. This is not the first time we've actually seen the raft. I'm pretty sure it was in the Spider-Man PS4 game, and we've seen it in some other things as well. So you've got that right off the bat, and from there on, they go to talk about that there is 27 playable characters at the start. They just actually talked about Miss Marvel and Hawkeye being in the game. We don't know the extent of how many more are going to be available. I'm sure they'll do DLCs down the line, but we will see basically your main group. You're going to have your Iron Man, your Captain America. There's a whole list. I believe they have the list actually on IGN. So if you want to check out that whole list, it'll be there. We don't know. I believe they do detail how many costumes in here. And they said there's going to be 4 costumes per hero. So that's actually going to be pretty cool. In the first one they had 4, and in the second one I think they took that away, and there was only 1 alternate per character, and that, it doesn't leave it kind of shows the lack of depth in there. But so it is going to be cool, and I'm sure they will have DLC content. I'm interested to see if they put any of the MCU costumes. I'd really like to see Captain America's MCU costume from Infinity War with the beard, and possibly some of the Black Widow ones too, but we'll see. Anyways, they also talk about some of the team bonuses you get from teaming up certain groups together. So just like in the first 2, if you team up the Avengers together, you'll get a team bonus. You team up the X-Men together, you get a team bonus. And Guardians of the Galaxy, each group gets a bonus. Now, here's the thing. They said there's also an additional bonus you can get for putting groups like Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen or Miles Morales together. You get a Web Warrior bonus. So they said you can have multiple bonuses at the same time. So that's kind of new. That's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I'm not sure how many different groups you can kind of get multiple combos together, but that is kind of cool. It's going to be neat to play around with. One other thing they did say is that when you're introduced to characters, you get a Borderland style pop-up that brings up a graphic and the character's name, and then a description along with a kind of joke below that. So it is going to be kind of Borderlands style character intros, so that'll be kind of cool to see. And then moving on from there, each character brings their own general style, attack, and specialties. With leveling, each has 4 distinct abilities to utilize. It is kind of a bummer that there's only 4. I was kind of hoping there'd be more, like in Marvel Heroes, but that's okay because you are doing 4-player team-ups the whole time. So basically when they say general style, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, you could have some that are more tanky, and then some that are speedsters, and some that are more combat based as far as damage. I'm assuming the way they describe it, that's what it is, and that's going to tie into something a little later on that I'm going to mention. And so we're going to keep going, but then we'll come right back around to that, and I'm going to see how they do it in this game, but it'll be interesting to see. Now, individual characters have stat menus displaying available attacks, hero traits, and more. No different than what you see in the other games, just display, kind of similar to displaying their general style and abilities and things of that nature. Now, it does say that there is an Alliance Enhancement system, and it's a web of upgrades that applies to the whole team, and they describe it as being similar to the sphere grid in Final Fantasy X. Now, if you've never played that, you won't be as familiar, but basically where I'm trying to think of a game that you could relate this to. They've done it in multiple games before. I cannot think of one off the top of my head, but there is, it is pretty common. Basically where you can either choose to go this route or go that route. I think maybe, I don't know if that would work. I was going to say maybe Dead by Daylight, if you think about their leveling system on that. Kind of similar, but not quite, because that one goes away. Anyways, so there's another layer there of leveling and stat-based abilities to boost your team's stats. So I'm not sure. It doesn't really go into detail though about what kind of enhancement system there is. I'm assuming damage, health, things of that nature, but we'll have to see. They did mention in this article, by the way, that they will be releasing more information and content as the month goes on. So we'll keep an eye out for that, and I'll post new information as it is released so that everyone will be updated. Now, moving on from there, characters can level up individually as well, and ability points can improve primary abilities of any given character. I believe they touch on it, and they do here in a minute, so I won't mention anything more on that. But moving on from there, they have the ISO 8. Lets players tweak a character's fighting capabilities and equipable isotopes that are dropped during challenging encounters. These can decrease damage and increase health, increase crit, dodge, things of that nature. It says individual ISO 8 pieces can be broken down into fragments and used to upgrade other pieces. Okay, so like what I was saying with the character traits and styles for the characters, the ISO 8 and character styles and traits are a big part of what you see in the mobile games like Marvel Future Fight, and I believe in Strike Team as well. So if you've played those games, you will be very familiar with how this works, and it seems like they're taking some of those from that, which is interesting, and I think it's kind of a good idea. I don't remember, I think they also did this in Marvel Heroes again, it's been a while since I played that game, mainly because it shut down in 2017. But so some of these things are familiar if you've played these games, and it's kind of cool. It's something I was looking forward to. It gives you that more Diablo style feel for the game, and gives you more customized, some more customizability and way to personalize your team the way you want them to be, which is cool. I don't think they say if there's any kind of multiplayer besides the co-op and the online in that way. I don't believe there's like a player versus player or anything like that. But moving on from there, it does say that 4 characters are always on screen at a time. Nothing new there. Even solo or duo players can level 4 characters at once. Now I am curious if you can be 4 individual players if you're playing online, so where you all control one character. That would be kind of cool. Don't know how the leveling would work in that instance, because regularly, if you're playing, all 4 characters level up at once, like it says, but if you're playing duos, does only the 2 that you control level up, or do they all 4 level up the same way? I think that's what it's stating there. So I'm pretty sure that if you have 2 characters and they have 2 characters, maybe you can switch between all 4 characters. It's going to level up all 4 that are on screen at the same time, no matter if those 2 are the ones you chose or not. So that's kind of cool. It's good to know that they're still keeping that around, so you don't have to level up each individual character like you would in Marvel Heroes. Moving on from there, they are going to have 2 different camera options. The classic one, which is the further out, zoomed out one that is above and gives you a wider angle, and also the heroic camera, which is a single player focused camera for close-up views. You kind of see that with Wolverine in the trailer. So one way or another, you do have a little bit of flexibility on what you want to do with your camera. Cool to see that they added that. I might try that out, actually, because I like to see a close-up of my character as I'm playing. So from there, they have synergy attacks, and this is similar to what they had in Ultimate Alliance 2, with unique ability combos between 2 heroes. They give the example of Iron Man shoots a beam at Captain America, and the shield splits the laser in multiple targets. That's something similar we've seen, so nothing really new there. It's cool to see they're bringing that back. Then they have extreme attacks, which are triggered with the L and R buttons when the EX gauge is powered up. Character's portrait flashes and offers a brief window for other characters to join in when played solo. Other characters join in with additional L and R2 or L and R taps, not L1 R2. And screen clearing blast then hits the enemies, and all 4 characters join in. It is called an ultimate extreme and generates major damage. It does say that it shows damage points or hit numbers, so you can see how much your damage you're doing. They did also mention that it can get a little chaotic, but the design team said they are working on that, so it probably won't be as much of a headache when you play. They also said it did play really well on the mobile when you're carrying your Switch around, as opposed to playing on a bigger screen. Moving on from there, heavies, mini bosses, and boss characters typically demonstrate an additional trait via a purple stagger gauge. Sustained attacks temporarily deplete this gauge and stun the enemy. So bigger guys, kind of similar to the ones from the other 2 games when they would have a circle below their body where it'd be blue, red, purple, describing a trait. Some of them be energy resistant or high damage. In this case, it's mentioning that they have a stagger bar, and so they're probably a bigger enemy, and once you wear that down, you can stagger the enemy, keeping and knocking them off and opening them up to more damage. So that's a little bit new, because I don't think they had gauges before, so that's kind of cool. Now moving into territory of in-game style and other activities, they have what is called as Infinity Trials, and they open up like dimensional rifts during the first story playthrough and transport players to new locations for tough challenges that give twists and variations on battles. They offer rewards for completions and accomplishing particular objectives. This may include wave battles, countdown trials, ability trials, and more. And so you can access them later from the main menu, I'm assuming after you've completed them, or maybe just after they've been unlocked. So that'll give you something to do aside from playing story, or once you've completed the story, go back and do those and you earn more gear. They did mention something, I don't believe it's mentioned here, but they mentioned it, I think in the trailer or maybe in their podcast on Game Informer, that there is a New Game Plus or something similar to that where you can carry over powers and gear to another playthrough and continue to make your character even more powerful. On from there is friendly and mighty difficulties are available. So it's like easy and normal mode, I'm assuming. And then after beating the game once, there is a hard mode that is unlocked, very similar to the other games. And that's where it says, okay, so that's where it says new difficulty levels made available, where players can carry over alliance enhancement and character levels from previous playthrough. So if there you have it right there. I don't know if that means you got to play it on hard difficulty or if that's going to count as a New Game Plus, which I guess it does become a hard difficulty when you go to New Game Plus anyways. So, you know, answers your question, right? Now they did mention that they will be bringing the shield points back, the blue, circular, purple, whatever color they were, back for save points, changing your team and extracting. So those will be brought back. That is very similar, something we're bringing back from the other games. Nothing new there. There will be XP cubes will boost experience quickly when picked up. I guess that means it's just a buff. I hope they don't try to put that in a microtransaction or anything like that. I'm not sure exactly how that works. I don't think that means that that's how you gain XP, but rather maybe from killing a big boss or a certain type of enemy, it drops one of those and you can just boost your XP quicker. You can also use lower leveled characters with other high powered characters and boost characters up quicker. So if you have a buddy that's a higher level, they can boost you, or if you decide to use a character that's not on screen, you decide to use someone's a higher level with a lower level, it will boost their XP up a lot quicker. So you can power level your characters. Nothing new there, although it's kind of new because I'm pretty sure that the characters you weren't using used to level up as well. I could be wrong there. So if you feel like power leveling your buddies or characters that you never use, you are in luck. Moving on from there, it says the game will also contain a number of Marvel villains outside of the Black Order. We've seen that in the trailer. You see Green Goblin, you see Ultron, you see Sandman. So there will be a plethora of other enemies similar to in the other ones. In the first one, they had the Masters of Evil, so there was a lot of them. This one's going to be no different. They mention, I don't know if this is all the locations, but they do mention the Shadowland, New York, Avengers Tower, X-Man Mansion, and many more. So there's going to be a good amount of places you can travel, and since you are going across the universe, I'm assuming there might be even planets, so different places. Of course, it'll all coincide with the Marvel universe, so there is that. Again, nothing I do not believe was mentioned. I thought there was about the number of costumes or how the costumes will be distributed, whether you have to earn them through challenges or same thing with characters, earning them through story or through finding figures. I believe in the first one you had to find Black Panther and Daredevil through finding their figures. So not a lot of that was mentioned, but a lot is still to come this month. Game Informer will be releasing more information as it is brought up. So be ready for that. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this, guys, in the future. Thank you for watching, and I will keep you updated here. Until next time.